My name's Jordan. This is Helena. We have Sarah and Lenny in the audience, and we'd also like to thank our partners at the District of West Vancouver. You've heard the predictions about climate change. Rising seas, stronger, more frequent storms, hotter, drier summers, and longer, more intense forest fire seasons. In fact, you've likely already experienced these events here in the region, as wildfires have spread throughout BC and thick smoke has blanketed Vancouver. Whereas winter king tides and coastal storm surges have overtopped our seawalls and flooded seaside infrastructure, it's clear that climate change is here. So how can local governments respond? There are many approaches that local governments can take to adapt to climate change, including upgrading infrastructure, enhancing social resilience, and planning for disasters. Our project fits within these broader strategies, but focuses specifically on ensuring that private development and individual homes are physically prepared. To this end, our team drafted 2 development permit areas, or DPAs, that address wildfire and coastal risk in the District of West Vancouver. DPAs are a great tool to make sure that homes are prepared for climate change, designated in the official community plan to protect against natural hazards or protect the environment. DPAs are triggered when existing lots go through major redevelopment, such as additions or rebuilds, or as new subdivisions or development begins. DPAs specify additional building and landscaping requirements in order to reduce risks or protect the environment. They set consistent standards for development, yet are a flexible tool, allowing planners to collaborate with homeowners and developers to reduce risk to property from natural hazards. In West Vancouver, climate change means that these hazards have arrived, and they will only become more severe with time. These hazards include king tides, storm surge, and rising seas, and hotter, drier summers that increase the risk of wildfires.
Creating the 2 DPAs required our team to understand and identify existing wildfire and coastal hazards, develop building and landscaping guidelines that address risks, recommend an internal application and approval process, and make recommendations that will help planners of the district communicate the risks and DPA requirements to residents. In order to achieve these outcomes, we analyzed 9 case studies of existing DPAs in the region, conducted 20 interviews with municipal staff, and reviewed best practice standards like the Green Shores and Fire Smart manuals. Here you can see the boundaries of our 2 DPAs. The wildfire DPA shown here in orange and yellow includes properties that are most susceptible to wildfire risk. The shoreline DPA shown in blue along the coastline includes low-lying properties at risk of coastal hazards like king tides and sea level rise. Each DPA will prevent personal injury, protect properties from damage and loss, enhance and protect ecological assets, and maintain public access to recreational areas. Here you can see a simplified illustration of the wildfire DPA. And you can see how the wildfire DPA will apply to development in wildfire-prone areas. Heat, sparks, and embers are the biggest risk for these homes. Roofing material and siding are most vulnerable to catching fire and should be made fire resistant. Windows should be double glazed and all openings should be screened to prevent fire from entering the home. And landscaping should be minimal and thinned to reduce the rate at which fire can spread. The shoreline DPA deals with a different set of challenges. The biggest risks here are storm surge and sea level rise and wave impacts. Permanent structures should be located at a safe distance from the coastline. Natural and soft shoreline measures should be used instead of hardening measures like concrete seawalls. And buildings must be built to a height that will be safe from coastal flooding and reflect the most updated sea level rise projections. While DPAs are a useful tool to regulate development and protect development against climate impacts, there's a need to inform residents on how to prepare for wildfire and coastal risks more broadly. Effective engagement strategies focus on residents' core values, incorporate the scientific scientific information and lived experience, encourage people to mitigate risk on their properties and in their communities, and use visualizations in public engagement. This will help residents better understand the risks and encourage actions that support resilient communities. While student activists walk out of classes, scientists sound the alarms and politicians call for wholesale change. DPAs are one tool that local governments can use to shape how our communities adapt to growing climate risks. Thank you.